I was like, so like, wonder what do you do when you see an injured animal?
When I say I can admit it's against the law, and I have broken the law many times by saving wounded animals. We've raised bush pigs, we've raised gazelles, we've raised eland, got them healthy, got them on their feet, and sent them out. But I spent a night in jail because it's, believe it or not, you can come here and hunt and shoot all kinds of animals. And I could, if I wanted, get a license to go and hunt. But saving orphaned animals or wounded animals is illegal. And that's just, it wasn't deliberately set up that way. It was just like there's a gap in the law. Big game hunting was always a part of something that Tanzania did. The huge increase in photographic or non-hunting tourism is relatively recent. It's kind of in the last 30, 40 years. So a lot of the laws are behind them. So if it's an animal we think we can save, we'll go ahead and save it, and just hope that the animal is out the door before the authorities find out. We have had animals though that we haven't been able to save, and in that case we'll find a way of actually putting it down so that it doesn't continue to suffer.
Could you tell, so in Karsus and Rasici, those you actually got the government to approve you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, in a kind of a half-hearted way. Yeah, Riziki, they haven't seen it yet before.
Yes, we did. Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, in Karsus, the big one, is like 16 now. 16, 17, something like that. We found her at the water hole, and I was down there with some guests one day, and I suddenly realized, there was a herd of elephants in there, moms and babies, and then the herd left, and one baby just stayed there and didn't even try and follow. And I looked at her with my binoculars, and I realized that she had cuts on her back, and she was very, very weak. And so I talked to some of the other guides, and they said, yeah, no, we've noticed this, it seems to be attached, we don't know if she's lost or whatever. So we decided to watch her, and over the next 4 or 5 days, we realized this is a totally abandoned orphan elephant. So we contacted the authorities, because it's one thing if you get caught, with a baby antelope or something. Elephants are a whole different deal. Elephants are a CITES 1 protected animal. They're a very big deal. And so I figured saving this orphan animal is kind of like stopping people from poaching. You're saving the life of an animal. And so I contacted the local authorities, and they said, yeah, okay, do what you can, but you can't enclose her, keep her enclosed. You can't keep her enclosed because then you're breaking the law, but you can be helping her, and we'll sort of let that by. So I did it. And if you ask me now, have I ever regretted doing that? I'll have to be honest and say I have, because I basically ended up getting in a lot of trouble aside from spending time in jail, night in jail. Gotten in a lot of trouble over the years because while everybody in the wildlife division knows that we saved that animal, we've never been able to get anything writing. We've never been able to get anything official. And so every time there's a new person in, they always come out and check it out. And it's been a huge drain. And it was, of course, it was never my intention, and nor I'm interested in creating a zoo and keeping animals. We've always tried to release animals wherever possible. But of course, elephants are very, very intelligent animals. They're very long-lived animals, and they're also used to living in a group, particularly the females. And once, they decided that this was their territory and we were part of the group, they weren't going to be going anywhere. And the second elephant, that was officially sent to us by the director of wildlife. So that one hasn't been that much of a problem. But of course, what happens here is that whenever somebody prominent leaves their job, the new person coming in is looking for signs of corruption of the previous guy and wants to undo a lot of what they did. And so that has meant that this question has sort of repeatedly come up and never really been resolved for us. So they're unique. There are no other elephants like that in Tanzania. In Kenya, there's a huge elephant orphanage. In other parts of the country, there's private ownership of wildlife and all of that kind of stuff. Not here. And so it's one of those things that I just sort of, even like starting the ranch, I really kind of decided to do and jump into without really counting the cost or coming with a business plan or anything like that. And kind of the way Tanzania is and the way the economy is and the way the laws and regulations keep changing. If you kind of wait to get all of your ducks in a row, you'll never do anything. You kind of have to start to see a gap. We don't have ownership. They cost me about $35,000. And nobody else in the country can take care of them because I employ the guys. So we're in this weird situation. Every now and again I found the minister and he doesn't pick up.
You told us when we were here first time. I'm sure he was telling us how much elephants and so forth. I remember you telling us when you first took Carcass in, how much milk and everything else, the volume of food you had to bring in.
There are these big 4-pint bottles that you can get for like raising calves. And she would have 2 of those, so 8 pints every 4 hours. For 24 hours. For 2 years. With a calf, you're done in a few months. I mean, cow calf or anything else, but not with elephants. Of course, they start eating grass. Start eating grass fairly quickly, and but they still rely on their mother's milk. So even 6, 8-month-old elephants are experimenting. They're eating bushes and nuts and leaves and that sort of stuff. But they don't fully become weaned really for 2, sometimes even 2.5 years. Sometimes the mother gives birth again, and that's when she calls it quits on breastfeeding the other one. Yeah.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
Hold on.
The Wildlife Division, and we've done that a couple of times, where an elephant is obviously ill, and they really have come out. They sort of said thanks for the info, but they really don't have the resources or the personnel to do that much. And I'm trying to think. We have had some elephants darted here, but that was to put a collar on, so that they were immobilized. Radio collars were put on, and they were tracked. And they were tracked from here all the way up into Kenya and all around. But so we will report it. But I don't have any qualified vets on staff. We don't have any tranquilizer equipment or anything like that. So our abilities are.
So with an elephant, because they are such a herd animal, if an elephant, a baby elephant nests in Carcass get separated, what are the options? And let's assume you weren't going to take her in, but you could heal her, you could help with the cuts and...
Well, how long? I mean, it depends on when she was orphaned. But if she was orphaned at age, say, 3, and she'd be better off as a bull, as a male, than a female, then she'd be able to feed herself, and then it would be a case of avoiding predators. Because lions or hyenas will go for her. Villagers also, if you strayed into the wrong area and got into a field, villagers would try and kill her. And so, but if it was before she was completely weaned, there's no question. Unless you so the animal has to be habituated to a certain extent to be able to feed her however many pints it is every 24 hours. So there are, and as a result of poaching, there are lots of orphaned elephants. On the other poaching area is a lack of habitat for elephants. So there's been a lot of poaching, but because in countries like Tanzania, the population has doubled in the last 20 years, there isn't a habitat available for elephants to live in and to roam around in as they did in the past. And so if there hadn't been poaching, and there hadn't, probably the government would have had to cull elephants, would actually reduce the population, because the landscape, the habitat is there. And this is the other thing, and it ties back to what I was telling you about farming, where you can't really farm and overgrazing. There's a lot of emphasis by foreign countries and aid organizations on anti-poaching. So that's stopping people from shooting animals illegally. And if we really, really want to stop anti-poaching, stop poaching, we can. It's a case of getting enough people on the ground and having enough money to do it, motivating everybody. The problem is there a habitat for those animals if they're not being poached? And I don't believe there is sufficient habitat anymore. If poaching was to stop absolutely right now, I think that certain animals, particularly lions, hyenas, buffalo, elephants, would have to be culled eventually, because there isn't a habitat left for them. to live in. And the habitat, as I've been able to show here, I mean, 20 years is only just beginning to get the habitat back in good shape. Poaching, you could stop in a month, probably, if there was enough will and impetus. Reversing the habitat trend is a much, much bigger picture. And I don't think Tanzania can afford to do that. And I'm not saying even that they should, because they've got this growing population. There's a lot of land in Tanzania that maybe they shouldn't, where there used to be wildlife, or maybe it's unrealistic to think about there being wildlife again, simply because there are other things they can do with that land. I mean, come in and irrigate, greenhouse farming. I mean, there's lots of things that a country like Tanzania should do to boost the economy.
Guys, if you think about it at home, Creek Park, which is a park right in the middle of the city, every year a team of rangers goes in with rifles to cull the deer. Because the deer have been forced down because of habitat in the surrounding areas has been diminished by expansion of the city and so forth. They have to go hunt the deer in Rock Creek Park because it's not sufficient to sustain them.
Yes.
And they're destroying some of parts of the park. So that's a little microcosm in our own little city of what
They go on the street, yeah.
the roads dangerous. Right, they make the roads dangerous. So that's part of it. It's directly connected to what Peter's talking about on a much larger scale here.
Exactly the same sort of thing.
So when you first got here, a lot of your emphasis was on the poaching problem.
Yes.
On this land and around and working with the communities.
Yes.
You have 30 rangers or something, some number. Poaching is down, other issues up. I mean, how much?
Yeah. Well, basically, people ask, do you have a poaching problem at Ndarakwai? And I say, no. That's because I've got 25 guys with shotguns and Land Rovers. So we don't have a poaching problem. Right outside my place, we do have a major poaching problem. And of course, all I can do is really protect my landscape. And what happens now, of course, is that there's a lot of animals that know about Ndarakwai, and they're moving back and forth seasonally, and so they can get hammered before they get to us. Now, there are other organizations. One of them is called the Honey Guide Foundation, that's funded by Big Life organization, which are involved with anti-poaching in the communities, and we do a lot of work with them. So we hear about something that happens in the village, we'll call them. If they hear about something, they'll call us. Sometimes they'll call us to say there was a car, there were shots, and there's a car going this way. We'll try and go out and head them off, and all that kind of stuff. So we are involved very much in that, but we've got limited resources, and I can really only stop people from poaching on my area, and know that most of the time there's somebody going to go poach somewhere else. So we don't really have a poaching problem. It's the grazing that is becoming harder and harder. Tanzania's population has doubled pretty much since I started the ranch in the last 20 years. The demographic is half of Tanzania are 20 or younger. And there's a generation just above that, and a lot of them, people mature here and become independent very, very, a whole lot earlier than in Western countries. And so people are out and they're cutting down trees for charcoal, starting to farm, they're doing a bit of poaching, and that's really just being an entrepreneur in Tanzania. I don't really blame the guys that want to go out and get some meat. They're actually taking some initiative and they're doing something about it. I also can't complain because my great-grandfather hunted buffalo on the plains in the Midwest and contributed to that whole disaster. And that was considered being an entrepreneur and going out and creating a life for yourself. So it's exactly the same sort of thing here. So it's basically an economic situation that is resulting in people cutting down trees for charcoal and doing the things that they do. And so it's really it's a government economic type of situation. And so grazing and water rights become an increasing problem. We have way less water now available on the ranch than we did 20 years ago. We supposedly have a water right, but it keeps getting subdivided upstream, and so we're not getting the water that we did. Luckily, there was a German aid project that came in about 6-7 years ago. They reworked all of the catchment areas around Kilimanjaro and put in basically a mains water system. And so we were able to connect up to that. So I get a water bill every month. But we needed that to run the camp and all the rest of it, so that our actual ranch water rights we now use exclusively for wildlife. So we run it into